a fellow who works for me, Reese Pearson, brought a writer, Cole Haddon, into our office. And Cole had written a terrific script that was about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And we were sitting around and talking, and I literally said, well, why don't we just do Dracula?
When I went to the novel to find my inspiration, I really went back to the inspiration that Bram Stoker himself had when he created the character Dracula, and that was Vlad Tepes. He had been a member of this Order of the Dragon, which was this fundamentalist Christian cult very similar to the Templar Knights. I began to think what would happen if this historical figure who had had so much interest in the Renaissance had sort of ran afoul of this order. What might they do? Would they turn on him? Would they try to punish him? Would they perhaps curse him to suffer as Satan himself? And so once I had an idea for the origin of how Dracula became Dracula, everything else really fell into place.
It was almost like Bram Stoker designed the sandbox, and he filled it up with these toys, and each one of those toys was a character. And Cole took those characters and all those toys and built another sandbox to put them into.
It's extraordinary how setting something in a historical basis can make people turn on their imaginations.
To mess around with the undead means there's no rules.
It's a story of great characters coming together around love and revenge and all those wonderful things.
There's hints of modernity and there's bits of the past and there's a bit of blood and guts and gore and some sex. I mean, it's got everything.
I think it was equal parts Bram Stoker and Dangerous Liaisons. We really did have a lot of that kind of sexual betrayal, and it is very sexed up. However, Bram Stoker's book is extraordinarily sexy, especially when you consider that it was written in Victorian times. I mean, it is a very sexy book.
It's such a fantastic new interpretation of a familiar brand. You know, normally Dracula is the monster being hunted by other people, by humans. But what's different and special about our version of Dracula is that Dracula is the hero. This is a story about a monster essentially trying to make contact with his human origin.
This monster side and this human being constantly at war with each other inside him.
He's a manifestation of pain and loss. It's what happens when you break somebody to that extent, when you completely demolish their spirit, when you completely demolish their environment and take away those things that they love.
They killed my wife, my love. And for these crimes, I will have my vengeance.
Taking away his wife and taking away his kingdom, taking away his power, taking away his life, but not allowing him the peace of death. It's the ultimate cruelty.
Before you die, take heart. You will soon be joined in hell by scores of your brethren. I will destroy your order and everything it stands for. You are Dracula.
This was a chance for me to team up again with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. The last time we worked together was in the pilot of The Tudors, and it was such a pleasure.
There's a strange darkness about him. I'm not sure where it comes from, but he carries it with him, and you see it behind his eyes. There's a torment that seems to be present in how he delivers his performances.
When he comes onto set as Vlad, he has a kind of unpredictability about him. He has a kind of slight edge about him, something that really is essential for that character.
I was wondering when you'd make your entrance.
Jonathan has a relationship with the camera that I've really never seen.
Before you die, take heart.
It is absolutely a laser beam.
He's got this sort of sense of danger. You don't know what he's going to do at any point, and you can see that, and I think that's what makes him so great for Dracula, is just like Grayson, there is an unknown quality to both of them, and I think that's why they're so wonderful.
You say you have means. I do. Then stop wasting my time. Remove this accursed blade before your confederate is ready to ash.
when I came back to the novel, sort of as things came full circle, it was to look at every other character and really think about what the intention Stoker had when he created the character was, deconstruct it, and then have those characters service this slightly revised version of Dracula.
Mr. Harker, stand against the same vested interests that would prefer I return to America.
I didn't think anyone had noticed.
I did. That's precisely why I invited you for this interview. Shall we begin?
There was something about Harker that was quite dark, and I felt like the way it'd been written, there was so much more that was going to happen to him.
He will develop, and he will become stronger. His experience will wound him, and that wounding will heal to make a stronger emotional, physical, spiritual muscle. Oliver Jackson Cohen is really, really good at doing this.
I just like the fact that here was a man, sort of in, you know, with a massive contrast to Grayson, and I just thought it was quite an interesting kind of dynamic, and the contrast between the two, I thought, would be really interesting to play.
This is my most lovely friend, Miss Mina Murray.
Of course. Mina.
I'm sorry, it's just, I swear.
We've met? Yes.
Mina Murray in this version of Dracula is a young, sort of go-getting medical student. She has to be very progressive, and she has to to fight for what she wants. And I think that comes through a lot in sort of all aspects of her life. I think she's a bit of a fighter. I think she's very empowered. And I think that women will really relate to Mina in this production. The women seem to be very much removed from the constraints of the period. And their relationships as well. Like, I feel like Mina and Harker have very much a modern relationship. You know, they're affectionate publicly, whereas I feel like the period would probably have been very inappropriate. But the women don't seem to be bound so much by that, which I think is really interesting.
Lucy Westenra.
Miss Westenra. Ravishing.
She's very different than anyone I've ever played before. She's girly and she's flirty, and there's sort of an ease about her that I've never played.
And what fair lady shall be my prize?
Seriously?
And then at the same time, what's really interesting about Lucy in this story is as time goes on, you begin to discover that everything that you see on the surface has no relation to what's going on underneath. And it's sort of fun to find out and play that.
There is a vampire in London. You shall find him forthwith.
We can't.
We've been ill, sick as pies, but as soon as we're up to snuff...
You will find him, or you will answer to Mr. Browning and the High Council.
Lady Jane is a very modern, exciting woman. She's a ball of physical energy. She knows what she wants, she's going to go and get it, whether it is a man, a thing, a vampire, an outfit, a party ticket, she's going to just get it. She is not used to being told no. And there's sort of three sides to her. Like any decent woman, she's complicated. She is a fighter, she is a lover, and she's the only woman in the Order of the Dragon. So she's a groundbreaker. We're all a combination of the three sides of Lady Jane, I think. Maybe without the killing, it'd be nice. But she's kind of aspirational. I think she is. I love her.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Abraham Van Helsing. I will tear your heart out, peasant. And you are Vlad Tepes. Vlad the Impaler. Dracula.
Thomas Kretschmann and I talked a lot about the most important part of his role, actually, is the quality of his insanity as Van Helsing.
Van Helsing is a pretty interesting, multi-layered character. He, on one hand, he has a bit of the same past as Dracula. His family got wiped out by the Ordo Draco, and he is out for revenge.
They slaughtered my wife, Adalind, and my 3 children. They stole from me everything in this world that I have loved. Everything you have loved.
It struck me that it might be more interesting to have him working alongside Dracula himself. There seemed to be a lot of story opportunity there to have this monster working with its traditional arch nemesis, to always be at each other's throats while trying to destroy this common enemy.
The relationship that Vlad Tepes and Van Helsing have is Vlad gets irritated by Van Helsing, and Van Helsing has to put up with Vlad because they both need each other.
It's almost like a bit like a dysfunctional marriage.
How long must I spend skulking in the shadows? I want to walk in the sun like any other man.
You will never be like any other man.
You would do well to remember that.
Van Helsing is a moral man. Vlad Tepes is not a moral man. He's not a man at all.
Mr. Renfield, is it considered proper in America for a gentleman to ask a single lady if she would like to ride in his carriage?
To tell you the truth, ma'am, I don't believe my employer ever gave a damn about what's proper.
Nonzo is a very accomplished actor from Britain. He's a fantastic guy, brilliant, brilliant actor. He brings so much gravity to the role of Renfield, which is actually crucial.
He pops off the page for me as something that is rare to get to play, because he has a kind of importance in the, he's isolated within the script. And I would hope that I'm playing Renfield in a way that shows that he's aware of how different he is, but he's not prepared to diminish himself for anybody.
Sorry, I just swallowed a fang.
We're not supposed to have this much fun. We're supposed to work hard and it's supposed to be difficult. And yes, every day is difficult, but then it has never been this much fun for me. And I wish people could see that part of it too.
Don't want to drop these down the chimney, guys.
I really think that what happens off screen, which is fun and chaos, translates on screen. And I think we work pretty well together. There's something really special about this group of people.
Oh, he's cheeky, this one.
There's 5 million people watching this show. So if we don't do our best, we've just wasted 5 million hours of human life. I've never done the math, but as far as I'm concerned, there's a fairly hard karmic blowback for that.
The show turned out almost in every way exactly as I hoped it would.
We just did our best, and I think it's an extraordinary show, and I'm very proud of it.